Well, hey, welcome back to the show, Therapy Unzipped. And today, a special episode. I wanted to share a nice little story with you guys. Now, I've heard a couple different versions of this, some Buddhist, some Native American. And so I wanted to share the one that I like and the one that I've used. And I hope that you guys get some benefit from it. As with every good story, there are certain themes and things to remember, things to think about later on, topics to discuss. And so I'd like to open up some discussion. So if you'd like to discuss what you've heard on the story, please share it to Therapy Unzipped. I think it's questions at therapyunzipped.com. And you can reach out, share your comments, and even questions about what you'd like us to talk about on upcoming episodes. Anyway, it's just me today, and we'll continue with our usual Friday schedule. But I wanted to drop this using a new platform, and we'll see how it goes. So this will be a nice test. I hope you guys are doing well out there, surviving at best, and those of you who are thriving out there, keep going, and let's see if we can lift each other up. So if you're doing really well, pass that on. Be of service to others. And if you're struggling, please reach out for help. So, all right, this is the story about the sparrow in the forest. Now, I think one version it's a spider, and another version maybe it's a desert. But anyway, I want to share this story with you because I feel like it could be helpful. I feel like the themes in it are reoccurring, and we notice things about our life where we become like some of the other characters in the story. Anyway, without further ado, this story is about a tiny sparrow who lives in a great forest. Now, the sparrow seems insignificant, but the courage, the thoughtfulness, and the action is what gives it some distinction. And one day, in the forest, there was a terrible fire that broke out. The fire started to spread quickly. The trees burned, smoke filled the sky. Animals began running in every direction, trying desperately to escape. And our little sparrow, brave, flew away with the animals. But as she looked back, she saw the forest, her home, disappearing into the flames. What could she do? The trees had sheltered her. The streams had given her water. The forest had given her food, safety, and a place to raise her young. She couldn't simply watch it burn. So the sparrow turned around. She flew to a nearby stream, dipped her tiny wings into the water, flew back over the fire, and shook just a few drops onto the flames. And she went back to the stream. Dip, fly, shake, again and again and again. The other animals saw her and shouted, "What are you doing?" The sparrow answered, "I'm putting out the fire." And they laughed. "Look at the size of that fire. Look at the size of you. You can't possibly put it out." And the sparrow looked toward the burning forest. Then she looked back at the stream and she said, "Maybe not, but this is what I can do." And she flew back for another few drops of water. The other animals eventually joined in. They did what they could do. And as the fire burned out, they were saved. Their home was saved. But the lesson: we spend so much of our lives staring at the size of the fire. The diagnosis, the divorce, the trauma, the addiction, the debt, the grief, the relationship that's falling apart, the dream that seems too far away. And then we look at ourselves and think, what difference could anything I do possibly make? That's where hopelessness begins. We compare the size of our action to the size of the problem. But maybe that's the wrong comparison. The sparrow doesn't ask, "Can I fix everything? Can I put the fire out?" No. She asks, "What can I do next?" And that's a completely different way to live. Here are 5 lessons I want you to continue with. I want you to learn from this story. 5 lessons from the sparrow. 1. Don't confuse small with meaningless. A 5-minute walk won't transform your health. One difficult conversation won't repair a marriage. One therapy session won't heal years of trauma. Saving $20 won't make you wealthy. Practicing guitar for 10 minutes won't make you a great musician. But those things aren't meaningless. They're drops of water. And enough drops, repeated long enough, can change a life. Here's the action. Identify one ridiculously small thing you can do today that moves you in the right direction. Second lesson. Stop waiting until you feel powerful. The sparrow never becomes bigger than the fire. And that's important. Sometimes we believe, I'll start when I'm more confident. I'll deal with it when I'm stronger. I'll try again when I'm motivated. But courage often doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. Actionable step, ask yourself, what would I do today if I didn't need to feel ready first? Then do the smallest version of it. Lesson number 3. Focus on your part, not the entire problem. Anxiety loves enormous questions. How am I going to fix my whole life? How am I ever going to recover from this? What if this never gets better? Those questions are usually too large to answer. Shrink the question. Not, how do I put out the fire? But, where's the stream? What's the next phone call? The next conversation? The next workout? The next boundary? The next appointment? The next decision? The actionable step is when you feel overwhelmed, replace, how do I fix this with, what's my next useful move? Number 4, don't let cynical people decide what's worth doing. The other animals weren't necessarily wrong. The sparrow's plan looked ridiculous. But there's a difference between being realistic and becoming cynical. Sometimes people will tell you, that's not going to work, you're wasting your time. You've tried before, and it's too late. Maybe. But they don't get to decide whether your effort has meaning. The actionable step, pay attention to whose voice you hear when you're about to quit. Ask yourself whether that voice deserves even a single vote. And lesson number 5, measure yourself by your effort, not just the outcome. And this may be the deepest part of the story. We can't control every outcome. We can't save every relationship. We can't undo what happened. We can't guarantee that our business succeeds, our bodies cooperate, or the people we love change. But we can decide how we show up. There is dignity in being the person who carries the water, even when the fire is enormous, even when nobody applauds, even when you're tired, even when you're unsure whether it's working. The sparrow's challenge: think about one fire in your life right now, something that feels too big, too complicated, or too far gone. And then you ask yourself 3 questions. What part of this is actually within my control? Where is the stream? And what is one drop of water I can carry today? Then carry it. Tomorrow, carry another. Because sometimes changing your life doesn't look heroic. Sometimes it looks like a tiny bird flying back. So you take the next actionable steps. Take what you've gathered and learned from this story. Turn your life around one drop at a time. It doesn't matter the outcome. It just matters what you do right now. And so I thank you for allowing me to share this story with you. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you seek to make some positive changes for you in your life and to be inspirational for others out there. We'll see you soon.